A couple of days ago, I was lucky enough to get a golf lesson with the world-renowned golf coach, Mr. David Leadbetter, and I've actually been practicing so much so I want to let you guys know just how I'm getting on and how potentially you guys can learn a little bit from it and improve your game too. Hi everyone, my name is James Robinson. Welcome back to this YouTube channel. So you may have seen that with the lesson with Mr. Leadbetter, we used his straightaway training aid, which I actually have on my 4-iron here. And I'm a big fan of that because it really did help me, first of all, last year at the PGA show, but also a little bit of a recap with Mr. Leadbetter to see how the takeaway should be, or the move away, as he would say. So you can see we're also using Hack Motion today, which is a wrist sensor which can tell you exactly how much extension or how much deviation you do have. So what should the wrist do? Because this is what I almost fail to understand time after time after time when it comes to practice. How can you deliberately practice in a way that you can repeat it time after time? So you can see here that if I was to set up an address position with the straightaway, my wrist should be extended a good couple of degrees, 20 to 30 degrees, Chris, is that looking like?
Yep, just under 20.
Now what I would usually do here, and this is where the straightaway helps as well, is I would just take the club inside, I'd bow that wrist, and you'll see the wrist movement with the Hack Motion move terribly there to a point where I can't really now control that club face. But if I now tie these two things together, you'll see that generally all I'm wanting to do is move it away where my wrist doesn't move too much. My lower body stays nice and stable, and you can see that the line on this straightaway device is keeping the club face looking at the ball. So a really good way to do this as well is by putting the club down for your alignment. So we're going to aim at that post just out in the fairway. This is a great way of practicing. You want to make sure you have something to aim at, you have a target, not only in your mind of what you're trying to achieve, but also where your ball flight wants to end up. So Chris, if you want to come in here, we'll show them that just how I can set up now. And again, that wrist is in an extended motion, because if it wasn't, you're never going to have a totally flat wrist there at address. And I move my shoulders away to a point where this line here is parallel to my alignment line. So you'll see my wrist angles haven't moved too much. They may have bowed a tiny bit because that's a natural movement for me, but it certainly hasn't cupped anymore, it hasn't extended anymore, and the club hasn't worked out here, which we see a lot of people do. A lot of people, especially with a long iron or a hybrid or a 3-wood or a driver, purposely try to get the ball where? Up. And a low lofted club, a long length club, it's very difficult to do so unless you've got the right dynamics, you've got the right technique. So what a lot of people do is think, right, there's not a lot of loft on this club face, so how can I make it easier for myself to get the ball up in the air? So the first movement would be, let's add some loft, bang. So I've added some loft, I've extended that wrist even more now to a point where, is that about 50? Is that unmanageable?
40, just under 40, yeah.
And you can see that I've been using the Hack Motion that much, I can start to kind of gauge just how much motion there is in my wrist and just how much I want to make sure that it stays nice and stable during the takeaway, because the takeaway is the key to success in my opinion and in Mr. Leadbetter's opinion. So if we can get the takeaway correct, we can then move on to a drill at the top of the backswing to make sure this stays nice and consistent. So once again, set up, and I'm looking for consistency here. So that wrist again should be 20 to 30.
Bang on 20.
Bang on 20. So from here, I move this away now with the arms. The straightaway is parallel to, I'm trying to talk and concentrate at the same time, is parallel to my target line, and the club face stays nice and square. So from here now, I can move up to the top of the backswing, I can set that club where I want to nicely, and you can see that that's put me in a lovely position, not only to control that club face, but also create a little bit of X factor between that lower and upper body. So in windy conditions like we have today, it makes it a lot easier to hit a nice penetrating flight. So you can hit balls with the straightaway on, you can also hit balls with the Hack Motion, which we're going to do now, and see just how it gauges and what we look like at address at the top, and of course at impact. And you can see that's a lovely, nice penetrating ball flight, a really nice divot going just to the left, and a ball that's finished ever so slightly left of my target of that post. So it's a good strike, it's a nice powerful ball flight, and that club face has stayed nice and square throughout. Chris, what the wrist angle's like on that shot?
So again, we'll see here on screen, which will be on overlaid, but we've got +6 at address, so we have got that little bit of extension that James wants at the top. Again, we've lost a little bit, so again, that's exactly what we'd expect to see, but we can see got a nice tick there. He's in the range, but it's a little bit too extended when he comes down into impact. But a good shot there, but great feedback from the hack motion.
And also very interesting that the wrists are too extended. The ball did go a tiny bit to the left, so that's something we can look to work on throughout that impact position. We can work away on the takeaway here, and we can make sure that that's all correct and proper. And this is going to be a really good way of me working out the lessons that I'm really lucky to have, to be honest, with some of the world's best coaches. And then from there, load up to the top, make sure you're in a nice strong position where that wrist doesn't cup too much, it doesn't bow too much. And from there, feel like I can clear the body out a little bit more. You can see that this straightaway is now in the same position on the way down. The yellow line is pointing down that target line, the club face looking at the ball. And as long as my hips have cleared out and the handle's forward, all I have to do is turn the body to compress that ball. So we'll go another one. Remember, this is a 4-iron, so it's not an easy club to hit whatsoever. And the more I work on this move away, see, that was too much. It wants to be here. I feel like the hands stay closer to the body. And straight away, that's more at the post as we do want it. So we're starting to get the feedback, we're starting to get the shots that we do want. And Chris, is that better?
We're in the green.
We're in the green with everything. So we're starting to get that intrinsic feedback, we're starting to get the extrinsic feedback of the Hack Motion app. So there is a better version of this available now, or a beta version, should I say, although the beta version is better. So you can go with that if you want to. But guys, that's how I'm going to be practicing my lesson with one of the world's best golf coaches. If it's going to help you, make sure you check out the link in the description below for the Hack Motion device. And I'll also put the Leadbetter straightaway in there as well, so you can combine these two fantastic training aids together to help you get good at golf. If you want to do that, check out that channel that's linked below as well.